The Manjane family are reunited. An air of normality has returned. But since Louisa came back home, nothing is as it once was. Just 15, she disappeared for half a year. Her mother feared the worst. Her daughter had been abducted by a man who took her to South Africa. It was a traumatic experience the family is still coming to terms with.
She'd been at her grandparents', but she ran away and started to walk back home. It was after 9 o'clock in the evening when she encountered the man. He offered her work. But when she got to his house, it wasn't to clean for him, but to be his wife.
I told him I didn't want to and kept crying. I was so afraid. He began to hit me and he threatened me with a knife. Then we slept. The next day he told me to get ready because we were going to South Africa. I told him I wanted to go home. He said, "You won't be going home, and if you try to escape, I'll find you and kill you."
Louisa and the man drove down this road towards the border. It takes just an hour and a half to get from Maputo, the capital of Mozambique, to the relative affluence of South Africa, a place perceived as the promised land for people looking for work and a better life. As a result, human trafficking is a booming industry in the border town of Rossano Garcia. Smugglers are everywhere, always on the lookout for new customers. They pocket €20 for every Mozambican they can get across the border. And this is where many end up, caught without paperwork and waiting to be deported. Around 1,500 people pass through here each month. More than 15% are unaccompanied children. Their cases are handled by Isidro Alberto. He manages the nearby child rescue centre. He tells us that he met Louisa in this room, and that's what saved her. Now Alice is here. She's also from a northern province. It's not yet clear what exactly happened to her.
Our
biggest challenge is getting information to people in the provinces about what's going on. Most cases of child trafficking occur in rural areas, and now there are even relatives who work for the trafficking rings. They tell the families they'll take the child to South Africa where they'll get a good education. But the reality is very different. The children are subjected to violence and sexual exploitation. There have been so many cases in South Africa.
Mozambique provides rich pickings for child traffickers, and South Africa provides the demand. As recently as 3 years ago, trafficking children wasn't a criminal offence in Mozambique, so there was no legal basis for punishing perpetrators. That changed after pressure from children's rights groups like Rede Kame. The organization's head, Carlos Manjate, says that while child trafficking is no longer ignored, the new law has been largely ineffective. He says that while the problem is widespread, resources for information campaigns and psychological support are extremely limited.
O Estado tem que ter plano de ação.
The government needs a plan of action. It has to put money into programs. The police need training. We think this is all moving too slowly. The courts and state prosecutors need to be much more active and enforce the law.
Caring for the victims is also challenging. Here, close to the border, is the only state-run rescue centre for children. Donna Maria is currently looking after 8 youngsters. They often stay for several weeks before they are mentally prepared to be reunited with their families. Louisa was also here and gradually learned to open up about what she'd experienced.
If you show that you're shocked by what the children tell you, they think, oh no, now she's sad. That wasn't the right thing to say. So even if the children recount the most horrific experiences, you have to pretend that it's something totally normal.
Louisa's mother finds that difficult. Her daughter is traumatized and she's been infected with HIV. In her case, the man was caught, but he hasn't been tried yet.
That man should be locked up forever. He did terrible things to my daughter. She's so young. He took her, abused her, and did all those things. It makes me so furious.
For the Manjane family, the struggle continues. But they are overjoyed to have their daughter back. Not everyone is so fortunate. Many children abducted or led to South Africa under false pretenses will never come home.